said husband, wife, other way. So, go ahead, babe.
We were just experiencing some resistance on
How dare
recording
you.
an episode today, and how do we explain this?
Well,
We've got some extra hurdles coming up in life, and our whole life has felt hurdled for a while. We have some like very intense blessings that we've been given, but I think the best way that you put it is we've been in kind of a blender mode for a while. So we were talking about it,
yeah.
and you know, one of the things that we touched on was wanting to have formal scheduled time for our podcast time, and that way you felt more comfortable being presentable and like being in the right space, which is very understandable. But being in mom and dad mode, like I haven't even left pajamas today.
I haven't brushed my hair. I have no makeup on. I just told him, like, I'm a perfectionist. Part of my like thing I'm working through is like how I present myself to the world. Like even just maybe months ago, not even a year ago, or maybe before motherhood, like I would never show my face without makeup on it. Like in the real world, certainly not for thousands of potential thousands. And I just told him I would love nothing more but to be able to show up to this podcast with makeup on one day, and my hair's not even brushed, and my toes, I need a pedicure. Like you're just a disaster. You're in pajamas.
Yeah, I sure am.
And then he was talking about like, isn't that what people want, is authenticity and being genuine? And it's like, all right, well let's just do that, and like let's just put the conversation we're having right now on camera. And I'm just gonna like link it back to that polarity thing that you're talking about. We have a lot of blessings. Like basically polarity is this like hot, cold, abundance, lack, love, hate, blessings, curses. And again, that's a collective thing. So I'm here to remind everybody, like if you're going through that, we're all going through it. And part of the design, that's just part of the earth design, human design, dark light. And instead of experiencing these as separate, we're kind of all collectively holding space for all of it, grief and joy at the same time. So it's just a real intense thing to experience. I've never experienced it to such extreme degrees before. Another thing I was talking about with the podcast and being prepared, it's not all just about like image and how I'm presenting, like the ego stuff. That's my ego for sure. But the last podcast we were talking about tuning in and like what is your body telling you? It's a guidance system, you're partnered with it, tune in. Well,
what was it, 9 o'clock at night when we did the last podcast?
Yeah.
Or something like that? I mean, by 9 o'clock at night, we're so spent.
Fried.
Little man has us up half the night right now, and by the time we reach 9 o'clock at night, might as well be the next day. So,
right.
We're like getting ready to go to bed, but we just felt called to do the last podcast then, because it was kind of like, well, if not now, then when?
Right. But part of the issue for me is like, when you are channeling, you're tuning into a higher frequency. And I can talk to my guys all the time. Even back when I was drinking, if I was drunk, you can still hear messages. Like everything's within you. You're never disconnected from it. But if you're attuned to a higher frequency, the message is clearer. And so I was telling him like, well, it would be so nice if it was on the calendar so I could not drink as much coffee in the morning, like take a shower, which clearly I've not done that. Take a shower before to cleanse myself, like meditate for 5 minutes beforehand, like get myself in the right frequency, in the right space. But as I'm talking about this right now, like I'm having a lesson for myself, which is, well, I'm in a low vibration where I was just telling him, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm low vibration right now, I can't go on this podcast and channel, I'm supposed to be, I need to be at this frequency be hearing the message and blah, blah, blah. But lesson to myself, it's like, what am I doing then or not doing? Like, shouldn't I, if I'm evolving spiritually, shouldn't I be operating at this high frequency, like if I'm doing a podcast or not just like, oh God, it's podcast day, so I better brush off the cobwebs and raise my frequency. Like, that's total BS. So just like receiving a download and a message real time with you guys, which is like that I'm not tuned into the body, I'm not taking care of myself well enough on a regular basis for my vibration to be consistently at this level. And I'll remind everybody, when I say vibration and frequency, I'll just break it down to like an earthly space, which is like, what are we eating? You know, like red meats are like very dense foods that can like lower your vibration, make sleep harder, they're harder for your body to process out of the system. So it's like, what am I eating? Am I drinking enough water? Again, this morning I had probably 2 to 3 cups of coffee, and I can tell my body's not wanting it, but I'm still drinking it. You know, just things like that, like just an eye-opener. I just got called out by Spirit, basically like, oh, you're just gonna fix your vibration once a day for the podcast. You know, so that basically I just have some work to do to like implement more day-to-day habits that will help me feel clear and just better.
I think what made us turn on the camera today is I would really like to come from a point of authenticity, and that means that we're not always gonna see you guys when we're like at the highest point in our day or at the most ideal place in our schedule. It might be that we're able to talk for like 5 minutes and then little man wakes up and that's it. That's just what we get, because we don't have a lot of free time, which means we don't have a lot of control over how things roll out. But accepting that and
like maximizing the time we have, or like taking advantage of it, which is basically nap time, which we're transitioning to once a day. And anybody who's a mommy or a daddy knows that the sleep transition from 2 naps to 1 nap is a little tough, because he still almost kind of needs 2 naps, but when he does that, he wakes up too late in the day, so then bedtime gets pushed, and then wake up time, it's like, so he's really tired in between, because we're kind of pushing him maybe for the last hour, but to keep like nighttime, bedtime on schedule. Up until now, we've just been letting him like follow his natural, I always have a problem with this word, circadian rhythm, which he's been amazing. Like for the most part, I've like looked at the studies and he's been pretty on point with like where he should be for sleep time, but this is the first transition where we're like kind of trying to like hold him through it. Anyway, if anybody ever watches our videos and has like thoughts about nap time, feel free. And I'm squirreling, we're just talking about parenthood.
It's a large portion of our life right now is just parenting, and we love it, but for anybody who's done it, you know how exhausting it is to do it right, and we are trying to do it right. We brought a little human into this world, and he is a very cool little human, but he has lots of needs, and so we're just trying to do a good job with that.
And big topic of conversation between he and I, it's like something I keep saying is, well, actually, his craniosacral therapist, I went and saw her a couple times, and one thing she said to me, she's like, we were doing this practice where I say sorry to myself, basically, or like kind of talking to yourself, your inner child, and one of the statements was, I'm sorry that Oliver requires more energy from me than I have to give. And that is so real. This little baby, he does demand more of our energy, more of my energy than I have to give. And so it's like this feeling of constantly running on a negative tank, not even an empty one, you know? So it's like, and then we're talking about raising your vibration and being in this peaceful state. It's like how, like, I just have this feeling of like never being able to get ahead, sort of like, no matter how hard you work, no matter what you're doing, it's just like I constantly feel like, I'm falling behind, like the laundry is, like, you know, we're gonna prioritize getting the dishes done, and we're gonna prioritize sweeping the floors, and then maybe like laundry is third, but then when do the floors get done, and then, you know, I have to like water the plants and all the you know, deep clean that, whatever, all the back end stuff gets piled as you're just like, it kind of like sounds like I'm talking about like just surviving.
Well, I mean, that is parenting. We're doing it without help.
Yeah.
And so,
For the most part.
to raise your own child is kind of a survival thing in today's day and age.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, it's very time consuming, you lose a lot of your sleep.
Yeah.
And it's not like the world's expectations change just
Right.
because your inside the house mode changes, or your decisions, like your personal layout changes, doesn't mean like what they expect from me out there changes. So it's a very interesting balance.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, and it is kind of funny too, like, I've had multiple people say, like, because I'm not one of the mommies that got sleep, my baby just loves to wake up and ask to nurse or ask for comfort.
he just wants to know that mom's there like every
Regularly.
15 minutes. So
Yeah, maybe that might be, yeah, some nights, yes, but I'm just, yeah, that hasn't been my sleep is just not part of my experience for this motherhood journey. And I've had so many people tell me, well, aren't you so lucky that you don't have to go to work? And at first I was like, yeah, I'm so blessed. I'm just so blessed. But it's like that, it would like prick at me a little bit, and I didn't, like, I was probably too tired to like process why that comment bothered me, because I am so blessed to be able to stay home with my son 1,000,000%. There's no question. It's the biggest blessing of our lives and like the greatest thing I will ever do. I wouldn't change a thing. But if I think back to my career, I don't even know if I've shared this, but I was a dual branch manager slash like kind of assistant district manager. I would fill in to that role. So just like big management responsibilities
at a bank.
at a financial institution for 10 years, a little over 10 to 15 years almost, and lots of responsibility. It's the craziest. It's such a high stress job because you're dealing with customers, you're dealing with your employees, and then when you take it to a district level, you're dealing with, there's just so much going on. And when I compare the two, that is 10 times over easier than being a stay-at-home mommy. And like, because it's like, oh no, I don't just get to nap, you know, maybe I can nap with him, but do you think we nap like the second I get a moment, you know, I'm not going to nap and like refill my sleep clock or whatever. And but yeah, just that, man, props to all the like stay-at-home mommies or daddies, because the job, the blessing, whatever.
It never ends, and you're not being paid overtime
Never
or
ends.
anything at all. So
You're not being paid. It's so
congratulations.
unrecognized as like, and I'm like,
if anything, it's looked down upon. And we live in
To
the
stay-
U.S.
I
I don't know
have
where
felt
you guys are
judged.
tuning in
Oh
from,
my
but
God,
like, if you actually tell somebody, it's the weirdest thing, because we have told people that we're both staying home. I got hit by a car like 3 months ago, so I've been taking a physical break because I'm a contractor, and you can't build people's houses with a broken body. You just can't. But it was a blessing, because by the time he was 8 months old, I think, when I got hit, or 9 months old, or 10 months old. Anyway, it was
September. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I hit in September.
So, 9 or 10 months old, and it was just the most interesting layout, the way that it worked out, because you were like at a point where you were just bottomed out.
Yes.
I
was
get
that
hit
he
by a
was
car.
At work full time, if not more. Contractor land, there's no like end. Whereas the bank, you can go home when the bank closes after you wrap up.
Yeah,
Like
when
contractor
you're your own
world,
boss,
like
you
there's
are.
no like, oh, my babe's gonna be home at 4 every day or 5 every day. It's just not gonna, you know. So, and then like not knowing what condition he's coming home in, so I don't get a full husband at the end of the day, you know. And that's certainly no criticism. It's just the
It
reality
just
of
is.
everybody in the worker bee, you know, life. Even if it's not a physical labor job, mentally, like one thing with the bank, mental exhaustion is is so real. It makes you physically exhausted as well. It's just a different type of tired, but yeah, I was definitely burnt because not sleeping on top of being full-time mommy. So like, and I'm just like, wait a second, I'm doing this over full-time job also while not sleeping. Anyway, it's just crazy, man. When they say you need a tribe, you need a tribe. If you are listening and you are thinking about having a child, and if you're single, whatever, no judgment, more power to you. But like, there is no way until you're a parent to know just how much it takes from you, and even being two like parents at home full time, we're still
It's still a lot.
playing catch up. Like,
Yeah.
how is, like, I don't even know how that's possible. How people, I think, look from the outside as like, oh, cake.
It's gotta be
Wow, they
so
got it
easy.
made.
Oh man.
It's just not. I mean, he is going to school online, which is helpful, and you know, we still have a ton of stuff going on that's just irrelevant to this podcast right now, but yeah.
Life is a lot, and I think the whole reason that we're even on this tangent is to recognize that no matter what you guys are going through, your life is probably a lot too, and that's okay.
To just hang
And
in
just
there.
ride the wave.
Yeah, hang in there and tribe, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't feel like you have your tribe yet, like, even if it's just an inherent desire to have more support, like, let the universe know, just sit there and close your eyes and feel, because feeling is the greatest way to manifest, not thinking. You don't think your way into manifestation, you feel it. So what would it feel like if I were being held by, you know, a mom coming here to help me with my kid? You know, what would it feel like to have friends over cooking dinner for you while you take a nap and play with your kid? Like, what would that feel like to have support? And take 2 to 3 minutes. I was gonna say 5 minutes. It doesn't even have to be 5 minutes, but if you can find yourself 2 to 3 minutes to just sit there and and feel into like, what would support feel like for me, and you'll draw it to yourself. So, and I'll take my own advice, because maybe, you know, maybe we need more support, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you are taking your own advice. Are you feeling less angry since we've been sitting here?
No.
No.
Yes.
I find that
I am.
with my wife in particular, the things that she's super resistant to are the things that she needs the most. Which is part of why we sat down today, because when I asked her about it, she almost had to leave the room. She got so frustrated. I am not doing that. I am not ready. I need to take time and meditate. And so I just kind of let her bounce around
How
on her
dare you.
frustrations for a minute. And we eventually just sat down, and here we are. And
True.
maybe you are kind of like that too, where
Resistant. I'm so resisty. Oh my
but
god.
it's okay.
I'm so resistant.
You got a partner that has your
Pushes
back,
me. He pushes
and
me.
she pushes me too. It's not, you know, there are days where I don't wanna sit down and do my schoolwork or like take time for myself. Also terrible with that. I'm very much like an audiophile kind of a person. I love to listen to music and just like take a minute to jam out and kind of recenter. But there are days where you force me to do that, or I'm not going to do that for myself.
That's what partnership is for.
That is what partnership is for.
Yeah, we do make each other better. We certainly challenge each other.
We do, and we're gonna try to be a little bit more disciplined about showing up for you guys as well, and like sharing what we're going through. And I think really what's hitting me today is how, if we're actually gonna do this thing and we're gonna regularly show up and have conversations for you guys, is that it, like, the most important thing is to me is that it's authentic and you get a real feel of where we're actually coming from, and that it's not like this
cool, here
gross,
we are.
fabricated,
I'm like got my hair
like-
curled and my makeup done, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and chat for you. Which hopefully one day I can do that.
Yeah, but don't we have enough plastic bullshit in this
No,
world?
I know, but
you know?
also there's nothing wrong with like feeling beautiful and
No,
taking care of
absolutely
yourself.
not.
You know what
Absolutely
I mean by hopefully one day we can get there. Is like I would love to not feel slammed with exhaustion when I show up to do this podcast or
I
like
agree.
frustrated or what. You know, it's like it'd be cool for you guys to see the evolution of
Yeah.
that, but also life is this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always this. One thing I wanted to mention that's going on that was adding to my frustration today is I tore my Achilles tendon and my
Patellar tendon.
patellar,
Yeah, which is the kneecap tendon, essentially.
and I have a really
Ganglion cyst.
painful ganglion cyst like right on the inside, which is like my baby. You know, anyway,
Yeah.
this hurts, so I'll probably have to have like a minor surgery to take care of that. So, and I'm acutely aware if we have spiritual people watching, I understand the right side of my body is linked to my masculine, which is action and, you know, being empowered in your power, moving forward, organization, organizing the chaos, all the things.
Yeah.
So,
But for those folks that are not like super hyper spiritual,
Mhm.
the entire right side of her body is just destroyed, and yelling
oh,
at
even
her
like,
all day.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but like, even just bruising, like my whole right side is just a total hot mess.
Yeah.
And I'm knock on wood because I don't want anything else to happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess like, and I was saying like, the irony is last podcast, which was just a couple of days ago, I'm like, tune into your body. What is your body telling you? So of course, like after I got the diagnosis from the doctor about the tears, I went online because I know the right side is masculine dominant, you know, left is feminine, but it's like, what does that actually mean for me? You know, like, and I know what masculine and feminine represent, but I was missing the message. And then Brandon helped me with it, which was,
That's the same message that I got a few months ago.
well, that we
And
gave in the first podcast.
I was very reluctant to listen, so
Just stop.
I fought it for weeks. Wasn't it like
Oh
3
yeah, it was
weeks?
not a good time in our
So
household.
it was not fun.
No.
I got hit by the car and I immediately reared my head and I was like, I'm in the middle of a construction project. I have to finish for my client. I have to do this. Spent another week and a half finishing the construction project. Came home and tore the entire motor out of my truck because I was like, I have to do this right now. It has to get done. If it doesn't get done right now, then when is it going to get done? Tortured my family for like 3 weeks straight, okay?
And I
And
don't
it
use the
was-
word like PTSD lightly, but like genuinely had some like traumatic like
I'm
experience.
surprised
through
my
it.
truck still exists and that she didn't go throw a firebomb in the motor because it's still out there. It still doesn't run right. The client job went tits up. I have to go back and rebuild their shower at some point. So all of that stuff that I spent 3 weeks resisting
was
for nothing.
for nothing.
For nothing.
'Cause the
Except for
car's
me to
not fixed.
learn that that was a bad idea.
Not resist.
Like don't
or to listen.
Yeah, just listen to your body. Listen, like I was like, I need to make money. I was still in the mode of, I have to make sure this family survives. We need groceries. We need diapers. We need all this stuff. And stress. If I hadn't listened, I think I would have ended up more broken. And that's just the mode that you're moving into now.
To listen,
though we're at
slow
home.
down, and like
Yeah.
game plan for the future. And just to share, speaking of authenticity, like one thing that stood out to me with what you just said was like, I've got to make money. I've got to do this. Like one thing he has discovered through this rest period is like, what was my driving motivation for the job? If it's to get money, you know, like even just energetically, what is the feeling behind like that was kind of like a lack mentality or a survival mentality. Like I have to do this. Like, and then if you follow Bashar's method of follow the excitement to be in your highest calling in your like most authentic space, like that certainly he was certainly not excited about you know going to the job or whatever the case may be. So something he's been working through is like if his relationship to money and lack mentality versus abundance, and what does that even mean that I'm always taken care of, and like how do you like change, because we're programmed to believe like money is the thing that like is a make or break for us and like survive or not survive. So he's been working through that.
Yeah, and once I started feeling better, I started choosing one person a week from our local community to go and help them fix their car. That's just for free.
That was
Didn't accept any money. Everybody tries to pay me, which is great, super sweet humans, but that wasn't the idea at all, and it's just sparked this really beautiful thing that we'll probably introduce on this channel at a certain point. I don't think we're there yet, but it is growing in the background, and I have always stood fast in I would never want to be a professional mechanic, but this is very different than that, and it's just a different vibe when you're not charging somebody $200 an hour to look at their car, and it's been really great for us and for our community, and for me personally, it's like it fills me up on rough days, especially, it's.
And I've been, well, I can see it. It's been helping heal his wounds around money. It's like when he had the idea of going on, because after the car project, I was like, we're done. No more. No more. Like the garage is no longer open.
And I was
an open shop. Like the shop is closed.
But I like my car project.
But like at the same time, mechanics have been an outlet for him, and it's an important outlet. It's not like I wanted to take that away from him, but it's just like the stress that these big projects on our own cars put on the family. Like then it's like a make or break on this getting done. It was like, well, why don't you go out to the community and offer community support? But like it came to, I'm not even sure who, but like it came to us that it was incredibly important that he did that without any monetary exchange. He was not going out to provide a service to get money, and it's just been pretty cool to like watch that heal. And the really cool part, the other really cool part has been watching, even with him not working, and so that's one income, right? That's just been closed off to our family at this time. To watch us be abundantly taken care of in so many ways. Like,
I haven't been running the business, but yet somehow all of the business bills are paid.
All the business bills are paid.
All the personal bills are paid.
All the personal
Everything is like
I'm
taken
going to
care of.
Hawaii next month on a spiritual retreat, and I'll share that. So who in their right mind, when you have like a set amount of money and no money coming in, who's gonna give over $1,000 to what most would consider like a luxury expense? Certainly not me. I was a branch manager of finances for other people and myself. Like that would never have been a thing.
And I am like one of the most financially conservative
Frugal.
people you'll find.
He doesn't even like to go out.
I'm like, is that the fancy toilet paper? That's the only fancy thing we're having in our household.
Or even like going out to eat. Like we have plenty of food at home, which has been really helpful. Like now we just cook all the time, which is fabulous. But the luxury thing. I very clearly heard the universe like, well, it wasn't even heard the universe. It was a message. It was like, are you excited? Because it's like, if you go back to the simple formula of following what excites you and following it as far as you can go, take the path as far as you can for as long as you can, without fear or hesitation, and just like just do it. And this particular thing excited me, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I did it. And I'll just share this about I'm super private with my finances, but I was doing my tax return expecting to get really nothing like of significance back, but for whatever reason, when I was on maternity leave and still employed with the bank, I was only getting 50% of my income, right? You're on maternity, you only get half your income, or whatever percent, 40, might have been 40%, I can't remember exactly, but I was paying taxes on 100% of it, so I overpaid myself by like a lot. And the very next day, I'm sharing this with you because one, you're always taken care of. I had no idea that I had this secret pot of thousands of dollars hanging out for me. Chills for when I would need it. Like, cause right now we're just about in the need space. He's been not working for 3 months, and I'm just like watching our bank account, kind of like, and that gives me anxiety. But the universe kept telling me, like, don't worry about making money. Stop worrying. Don't worry about money. The money will. I just kept seeing like large deposits in my account, like feeling it. Like that's the last thing I need to be worried about. Anyway, so I booked this trip on a Tuesday, and I do my taxes on a Wednesday. It's just like let's check the box off. Well, so I find out the very next day that I did this trust fall with the universe, in the sense of like spending money because it was for my soul. This is a spiritual retreat to like, I talked about feeling a lot of grief with what my mom's going through. My dad, both my mom and dad are very sick, and and the injuries and just all the things of life. It's like, and being a mama full time, I just know, like, we all ask the question, like, what am I doing for me? Like, how am I taking care of myself? Anyway, I just knew that I needed this, and he is the most incredible husband, partner ever, and like,
Mama needs to get away.
no question, supported it. In fact, he was encouraging it before this thing came to me. So yeah, booked it in a trust that this was like for my soul and meant to be for my evolution.
And to find some more of your tribe.
To find more of my tribe.
One of her homies from high school has a retreat in Hawaii that she's now been invited to, but they just reconnected, and that was a big factor.
Huge. And the beautiful thing there is, like, maybe one day we'll work together. I have a dream of opening up a healing center retreat space and doing that kind of work here in Washington, buying land, and not that I'm the healer, but just that I collect a bunch of healers, and we have a space where people can just come and be held and have whatever they need, because we all heal in different ways, and there's so many different types of healing. So I've never had the dream of doing it on my own as just like an independent worker, although that's fabulous too, but it's been this dream to have this like space. Anyway, how cool that, this beautiful woman already has something like that established, and we just talked, and like futuring, I can kind of see the vision, like, maybe we work together in the future. I've had some clarity around like, I'm meant to be a healer of healers. That was really cool to get a bit more direction of like how I will move through with, my gifts and things like that, but it still hasn't come to fruition. But I believe that this retreat is a major part of it. I think this glorious woman, old high school friend that I'll be reconnecting with, is going to be an integral part of the future. And whoever I know, there's going to be some cool people I'm going to meet also. It's like not just her. So yeah, it's exciting to like, speaking of having support and like finding your tribe, like I think I talked about this in the last podcast, how, and this is very common when you are raising your vibration. If you were down here, like I was partying and drinking all the time, like I was in this low vibrational space constantly, which is going to be attracting the same type of people that just want to disconnect, distract, party, blah, blah, blah. Well, here I start elevating. I'm becoming a mommy. I'm getting healthier. Over 2 years sober. We're coming up on 2.5 years sober. Loving relationship. What do you think happened to all of my friends?
They're gone.
Gone, cut.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Gone.
And mine too.
His too. And that's a really lonely period of time, like that transition period.
We have a couple of parenting friends.
Yeah, I didn't lose
but they're
all
parents.
Of them.
They're new parents, and like they have as much time as we have. Which is,
so it's not like you see them often.
Yeah.
No, but it's cool to start emerging into this space where I'm like, ooh, I'm noticing that like I'm collecting new people now that are more aligned. Like this woman who is a beautiful healer. You know, it's like.
But that's, just to tie it all back in, like with the leg injuries and the cysts on your wrist, it's like she's headed toward this really amazing adventure.
And I want it now.
But right before that adventure hits, all of these injuries, and like there's supposed to be all this hiking involved on the island of Kona, and it's like really beautiful. I'm sure they'll like try to go snorkeling and like yoga retreat stuff, she isn't going to be able to do any of that. Like,
right.
you're physically, she's just going to be there relaxing, enjoying the experience in her own way, but you're not going to be physically able. I don't know if you guys are aware of what an Achilles tendon tear looks like, but basically if you actually tear your Achilles tendon to the point where it needs to be surgically repaired, you are down for like a year to a year and a half. And she's basically the step that's right before that. So if she was really hard on her body over the next month, it could tear away from itself completely, and that's a very, very long road. So it's actually very serious. But I guess what I'm saying is that just because you're headed towards something really beautiful doesn't mean there's not like struggles along the way. And I think
to trust the timing, like, you know, I started getting really excited, but yeah.
Well, all I was gonna finish saying was that I think when you're in that experience a month from now, and there's no way to know what that experience can be like, I think you'll find that the fact that the universe slowed you down is actually like an addition to your experience, not a subtraction. So right now, in your brain, it looks like, oh shit, I'm broken, I have to go on this retreat, I'm gonna have to get to the airport, I'm gonna have to like get onto the plane, I gotta fly, I gotta get into my hotel, or like not hotel, but like resort, and like, they're gonna be doing all these physical activities, I'm gonna be excluded from those things. But on the flip side, you don't actually know what that experience is gonna look like yet. And so, and this is advice to everybody, I guess, is like, don't pigeonhole yourself into a shitty experience just because you're having a rough time. If something shows up,
trust that it's for your
grab
good.
it, and like, even if it seems like it's hurting you, just embrace it and like work it into your day-to-day and just trust the process, I guess.
That's actually number 3 or 4, I can't remember which one, of the Bashar method, which is like, everything that happens to me, believe that it's happening for your good, even if it's, because the universe and life is talking to you always, so even if it feels bad.
I have to pee so bad.
Oh,
Keep talking.
I thought the baby was up, I said, no.
Keep talking.
Anyway, even if it's happening, if it feels bad, right, just the mentality that everything is happening for my good and that you can get something positive out of everything that is happening to you. So what you just saw there, I like to call it a reframe, or I'm sure counselors shared that terminology with me for a while. It was like a real life, real time reframe for me. Because I was kind of in the headspace of like, so excited to do the activities, in particular, like hiking up into this rainforest to have a sound bath, like a magical sound bath in the forest. How amazing is that? And you know, just like, so the reality of like, this won't happen for me, but why that so profoundly hit me is because just before we turned on this podcast, I was expressing to him my frustrations just in life about being injured and like feeling like it was just another setback. And then I heard Spirit so loudly, come in. Are you like,
Can I do wrap up today? We don't have to woke up.
Yeah. What do you mean wrap up?
Can I wrap up the video?
Yeah, you can. But I want to share something. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you can there. I just wanted to share that, getting frustrated. Spirit told me the world needs, there's a select collective bunch of people, maybe they're the star seeds, the light workers, whatever you want to call them, that are being guided to just hold a vibration, that the most important thing we can do is not act, but to be, and to hold a higher frequency for the earth as we're going through this chaos and this change. Everything is already changing. What's the rush? Why are we trying to change faster, quicker, or do, right? All these things in my brain, I want to do this, I want to go there. My message was to just be and work on raising my vibration and just holding a certain frequency for the earth. And I think like Buddhists do that, or monks. I'm pretty sure like that's their whole thing. It's a baby! It's a baby! Oh,
Alright.
my baby son.
Did you finish your thought?
Did you see? I did, just about
Okay.
holding frequency.
We're about out of time.
Oh, my baby
So I just,
son.
to anybody who actually made it this far through our daily process, we appreciate you joining us along for this ride. We haven't said it before, but I guess we're like officially a channel now, so please like and subscribe our content. If you enjoyed what we're putting out there, you know, help us get the algorithm to take notice. I feel like what we have to say is relevant and helpful to the state of affairs in the world. And if you feel the same way, help us get the word out, you know?
Yeah.
Tell your friends if you think that they also need a little push of encouragement.
You want to nurse.
Yeah, no boobs right now.
One moment.
Okay. Also, keep an eye out. We're gonna have some updates to the channel. It won't always just be us sitting here talking on the couch.
I'm gonna play some music. I'm a singer and a songwriter, and I play piano. He's a mechanic.
Yep, and we're gonna be doing some manly therapy time and videoing that as well. We're still trying to figure it out, but keep an eye out. It'll all be on this channel, and we'd like to share the adventure with you guys. So
Yes.
anyway,
And I'll just final note. I feel so much better. I like did not want to do this podcast at
she
all.
met the resistance,
And I feel so good. I feel way better. I feel more clear in my body. I've got chills all over. I got chills a few times throughout the video. It's just like, yeah, all good things. So thank you.
Yeah, try to be in the present. Beware of the futuring,
Yes.
because we just don't know. And what fun would it be if we did know? So enjoy the ride the wave, guys. Hang in there, and we'll be back soon.
Maybe on a planned date every week.
Yeah, maybe at some point we'll get organized.
Bye, Sunshine Tribe.
Bye, everyone.